श्री गुरु चरित्र अध्याय 7 द ग्लोरी ऑफ गोकर्ण। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। श्री गुरुदेव दत्ता। Namdharak said to Siddh, Revered Swami, please tell me about the glory of the sacred land of Gokarna. Why did Shri Pada, Shri Vallabha leave the other holy places and stay there? Has Gokarna been blessed by any great divine event in the past? Please tell me its sacred history. Siddhi replied, O Namadharak, your desire to hear about the greatness of a holy place comes from your devotion to the Guru. Listen with the focused mind, and I shall tell you the ancient story of Gokarna. In ancient times, there lived a powerful king named Mitrasaha, belonging to the Ikshvaku dynasty. He was courageous, learned, righteous, and devoted to his duties. He was well versed in sacred knowledge and was respected for his strength, wisdom, and generosity. One day, the king went hunting in a vast and deserted forest. While moving through the forest, he encountered a terrifying demon. The king attacked the demon with his arrows. The demon was struck and eventually fell to the ground. The demon's brother was nearby. Seeing his brother die, he became filled with anger and grief. Before dying, the demon told his brother, Take revenge on the king for my death. The surviving demon then used his supernatural powers and assumed the appearance of a human being. He approached the king humbly and offered his services. For many days, he served the king faithfully and behaved as though he were an ordinary servant. Eventually, the king returned to his kingdom. One day, the king arranged a ceremony for his ancestors and invited great sages, including Rishi Vasishtha, to partake in the sacred meal. The king entrusted the preparation of the food to his servants. The demon, who had secretly entered the king's service, saw this as an opportunity for revenge. He prepared food containing human flesh and served it to the sages without the king's knowledge. When Vasishtha discovered what had been served, he became furious. He cursed the king, You shall become a Brahma Rakshasa. The king was shocked. He said that he had committed no such act knowingly and that someone else had prepared the food. Angered by the curse, the king was about to curse Vasishtha in return. But his wife, Madayanti, immediately stopped him. She said, My lord, do not curse a great sage. Anger toward one's guru or spiritual teacher can bring terrible consequences. Please bow at his feet instead. The king listened to his wife's wise words. He did not release the water of his curse upon Vasishtha. Instead, the cursed water fell upon his own feet. Because of this, he became known as Kalma Shapada. Madhyayanti then approached Vasishtha and humbly requested him to show compassion toward her husband. Moved by her words, Vasishtha softened the curse. He declared that after 12 years the king would regain his human form. Thus, the king became a Brahma Rakshasa and wandered through the forest. During those 12 years, he lived as a terrifying being and consumed many creatures. One day, he encountered a Brahmin couple traveling through the forest. The demon seized the Brahmin and prepared to kill him. His wife was overcome with grief. She fell at the demon's feet and pleaded, Please spare my husband. He is my life and my support. If you must take a life,
Take mine instead." She begged repeatedly for the life of her husband, but the demon did not listen. He killed the Brahmin. The Brahmin's wife was devastated. In her sorrow, she pronounced a curse upon the demon. "You were once a king of the noble Solar dynasty. Because of a curse, you became a demon. After 12 years, you may regain your human form, but if you approach a woman with desire, your life will immediately come to an end." After giving this curse, the grieving woman entered the fire with the remains of her husband. When 12 years had passed, the king returned to his kingdom and regained his human form. But he remembered the curse of the Brahmin woman. He told his wife Madhyayanti that he could not approach her as husband and wife because doing so would cause his death. Madhyayanti became deeply sorrowful because they had no children to continue their lineage. The king then consulted his ministers, elders, and priests. He asked, "How can I become free from the terrible sin that has followed me?" They advised him to visit sacred pilgrimage places, perform religious duties, give charity, conduct rituals, and seek purification. The king followed their advice. He visited many holy places and performed numerous acts of charity and worship. But wherever he went, the burden of his terrible sin seemed to remain with him. He became deeply distressed. Eventually, he reached the region of Mithila. There, he met the great sage Gautama. The king bowed at Gautama Rishi's feet and told him everything that had happened. He said, "Revered sage, I have performed many religious acts and visited many sacred places, but I still cannot free myself from this terrible burden. Please show me a way." Gautama Rishi compassionately replied, "Do not lose hope. There is a sacred place whose greatness is extraordinary. That place is Gokarna. At Gokarna resides Lord Shiva, the compassionate and eternal Lord. The power of this sacred place is so great that even grave sins are believed to be destroyed through sincere devotion there." Gautama explained that Gokarna is a place of immense spiritual importance. Many divine beings, sages, celestial beings, and devotees have worshipped Lord Mahabaleshwar there. The sacred land is associated with countless holy waters and sacred sites. Devotees who worship Lord Shiva there with faith perform charity, prayers, fasting, chanting, and other acts of devotion are believed to receive great spiritual merit. Gautama then told the king, "Go to Gokarna with faith. Do not doubt. The sacred presence of Lord Shiva there will bring purification and peace." The king accepted Gautama's words with complete faith. He went to Gokarna and, according to the sacred narration, he became free from the burden that had followed him. But the glory of Gokarna did not end there. Gautama Rishi then narrated another extraordinary incident. Once, while visiting Gokarna, Gautama witnessed something astonishing. A woman arrived there who was suffering terribly. She was blind, extremely weak, afflicted with severe disease, and had no proper clothing or food. Her body was covered with illness and she was suffering greatly. She was an outcast and had spent her life in misery. When her life was coming to an end, she lay beneath a tree. At that moment, something extraordinary happened. A divine celestial vehicle appeared. The Shiva Ganas, the attendants of Lord Shiva, arrived.
Gautama was astonished. He asked them, "Why have you come for this woman? She has lived a sinful life. She has not performed great austerities or elaborate worship. Why should she be taken to the divine realm?" The Shiva Ganas then explained the hidden story of her past. In a previous birth, she had been born as a Brahmin girl named Saudamini. She was beautiful and eventually married a Brahmin. But after her husband's death, she became attached to worldly pleasures. She fell into immoral conduct and was eventually rejected by her family. She later lived with a man of another community and adopted a life filled with harmful habits. One day, while intoxicated and confused, she mistakenly killed a calf while preparing food. When she realized what she had done, she became frightened and remorseful. She remembered Lord Shiva and cried out his name. But her life continued in suffering. After her death, she experienced the consequences of her actions and was later born as the diseased and suffering woman whom Gautama had seen at Gokarna. For years, she lived in extreme poverty and misery. Then came the month of Magha and the sacred occasion of Mahashivaratri. Large numbers of pilgrims were traveling to Gokarna to worship Lord Mahabaleshwar. The suffering woman followed the pilgrims, hoping that someone might give her food. But that day, because devotees were observing a fast for Shivaratri, nobody gave her food. She remained hungry throughout the day. In desperation, she continued asking for food. Someone placed a small bunch of bilwa leaves in her hand. She looked at them and realized they were not food. In frustration, she threw them away. By divine coincidence, the bilwa leaves landed directly upon the sacred Shivlingam. Thus, without intending to do so, she had offered bilwa leaves to Lord Shiva. Because she had received no food, she also unknowingly observed a fast. And because it was Shivaratri, she remained awake through the sacred night. She had made no deliberate plan to perform a religious ritual. Yet, through circumstances beyond her intention, three elements came together: fasting, wakefulness, and an offering of bilwa leaves to Lord Shiva. The Shiva Ganas explained that this unexpected act of devotion brought divine grace upon her. The accumulated burden of her past actions was removed. When she finally approached death, the Shiva Ganas came to take her. They sprinkled divine nectar upon her. Her diseased and suffering body was transformed into a divine form. She was then taken to the abode of Lord Shiva. Gautama Rishi concluded, "This is the extraordinary glory of Gokarna. Go there with sincere devotion, worship Lord Mahabaleshwar, and surrender yourself to the divine. The sacred land of Gokarna is a place of great spiritual power." After hearing Gautama's words, the king's heart was filled with faith. He went to Gokarna and found spiritual purification. Siddha then said to Namadharak, "O Namadharak, this is why Gokarna is considered such a sacred and powerful place. It is also the place where Sri Padashri Vallabha chose to stay." And thus, the 7th chapter of Sri Guru Charitra teaches us that divine grace can appear in ways that human beings may not understand. The story reminds us of the importance of repentance, faith, devotion, pilgrimage, and the compassionate grace of Lord Shiva.
Above all, it teaches us that one should never lose hope. Even when a person feels burdened by past mistakes, sincere surrender and discar become the beginning of spiritual transformation. Let us bow with devotion at the feet of the Divine Guru, Sri Gurudev Datta. May the grace of Sri Guru and Lord Mahabaleshwar bring peace, wisdom, and spiritual strength to every devotee. Shri Guru Charan Kamalebhyo Namaha. Shri Gurudev Datta.